Good evening. I'm Emily Sutcliffe, Executive Director of the Toll Public Interest Center, and I'm thrilled to be one of the many voices welcoming you to the 2022 Pro Bono Recognition event and the launch of the inaugural TPIC Alumni Impact Awards. Today is a big day, it's a wonderful day, and I'm sorry that I can't be there to celebrate with you all in person. I can't believe we're back in person again, it's so exciting. I'm currently on maternity leave, and I extend tremendous appreciation to Kathy Carr, who's been taking care of TPIC and leading in my absence. But please know that I'm cheering and I'm marveling and I'm extending tons of gratitude and appreciation from afar. I know tonight is going to be a great night. And decades before other schools were even contemplating pro bono, our school was intentional about creating a world-class approach to legal education that was anchored in and bolstered by an unwavering commitment to pro bono service. Nearly 40 years ago, the late Howard Lesnick, the founding father of Penn Law's pro bono requirement, he asserted that all responsible legal practitioners should devote a portion of their time to pro bono, and that student engagement in pro bono was essential in developing career-long commitments to service as part of legal practice across all sectors. Pro bono is a unifying force at Penn Law, bringing together students from all backgrounds with all manner of career goals and centering their energy and their talents on using the law as a tool for good, as a means of addressing the many tentacles of race-based, ability-based, class-based, gender-based, on and on forms of oppression. And when executed with great care and awareness, as we always strive to do, pro bono can be a tremendous source of positive change in the lives of individuals and communities and within systems. And just as conscientious pro bono can be a great resource for historically and presently excluded people and communities, so too are law students enriched by the privilege of working with and learning from remarkable clients, communities, and supervising attorneys. They make the pro bono program possible. So days like today are really special. They allow us to take a brief pause from the work and to take in the expanse of it all. You all do a lot. You have positive impacts in so many areas, from housing to healthcare to the environment to education. I could go on forever. The diversity and the reach of your pro bono contributions, it's absolutely remarkable. And while it seems that our world is sadly never without astounding examples of injustice at every turn, today is a day to celebrate the spirit of service that lives in each of you, a spirit that fights like hell and uses every tool available for the clients and causes that you care about. A heartfelt congratulations on your many, many pro bono contributions. I hope this is just the beginning of your pro bono careers. And today also marks the exciting launch of the inaugural Alumni Impact Awards. We couldn't be more thrilled to offer these awards, which were made possible by the extreme generosity of Bob and Jane Toll. In alignment with the celebratory nature of tonight's event, the Alumni Impact Awards allow us to honor and highlight the incredible public interest innovations and impacts of our graduates. What we already knew and what this year's application process has demonstrated is that our alums are doing incredible work, important work. They're catalyzing meaningful, positive change at every single level. And so I'll leave it to TPIC's amazing team to explain more about the details of pro bono recognition and the Alumni Impact Awards, none of which could have been possible without their dedication and their expertise. So a huge thank you to the TPIC team. And I'll end my remarks here by expressing my deep gratitude to Dean Ruger, to the Tolls, of course to my colleagues in TPIC and the rest of the law school, and especially to all of you in attendance tonight. What a fantastic community of service this is. Congratulations again.
Clearly just missed my cue. Okay. Hello, my name's Eric Foley. I was in the class of '09, and I have the distinct honor of being here on behalf of 24, I believe the last count was 24, other alumni who joined in nominating Deuel Ross for this award tonight. I believe, of that group, some had remained in close contact with Deuel, and some had just been admiring his career from afar, but we were all deeply impressed and inspired by his work in the relatively short time. I like to think it's short time because I don't want to believe I'm that old, but relatively short time that we've been out of law school. So Deuel is currently the Senior Counsel and Director of Professional Development at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and his docket focuses heavily on voting rights and school desegregation. And when we were drafting the nomination letter, there was a point, and I will, as a bit of advice, I'll say never invite 25 mid-career lawyers to simultaneously edit a Google Doc before said letter is due. But there was a point in creating that letter where I stopped and I said, guys, I think we're laying it on a little bit thick. It was like Deuel Ross has single-handedly saved democracy, and then he rested on the seventh day. But the truth is, the work that Deuel does really is that vital. And he is a member of a very small community of lawyers in the U.S. who are fighting tooth and nail for the rights that really underpin our democracy, namely education rights and voting rights. I think if you were to take the lawyers who are actually litigating voting rights cases right now across the country and put them all in one place, you could probably fit them in a high school gymnasium. And so, it was a bit of hyperbole. Also, I don't believe he rests even on the seventh day because he's got two little kids on top of the docket that he's working. But I am now going to try to summarize some of the work that Deuel has done, and I'm going to do a poor job of it because there's just quite a lot. I think the case that y'all have probably heard and seen most recently is Singleton v. Merrill, in which Deuel challenged Alabama's redistricting plan. He got a unanimous opinion from a 3-judge panel ordering Alabama to redraw its districting plan, and unfortunately, the Supreme Court stayed the order. This is the pause where you all can boo. Yeah, all right, there's audience participation. Unfortunately, they stayed the order, but now Deuel's in the position of defending the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act in the Supreme Court. No pressure. There you go. That is just one case that he has been working on. He also, in 2020, had People First of Alabama v. Merrill. Merrill is apparently a bad actor. All of Deuel's cases have Merrill in it. A successful challenge to absentee voting and curbside voting restrictions in Alabama. Again, in 2020, he used an existing school desegregation order to ensure that kids in Leeds, Alabama had access to school lunches. And so that's just the past 2 years. Beyond that, some of his more notable work is as part of the team in Vesey v. Abbott in 2016, in which he successfully challenged Texas' repressive voter ID laws. The fact that the man even wins in the Fifth Circuit is quite impressive. I actually have a space here in my notes where I was going to go on a Fifth Circuit rant. But I then realized there's a lot of smart people in this room who are either former Fifth Circuit clerks or might become a Fifth Circuit clerk. So I edited that portion on the train, and I will read it thus. The Fifth Circuit loves civil rights. The Fifth Circuit especially loves voting rights. And the Fifth Circuit would never use qualified immunity to expand a brutal and racist police state. And now I move on. On top of all that, Deuel continues to litigate decades-old school desegregation cases in Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, and Connecticut. If you think it's a picnic litigating a civil rights case in St. Martin Parish, Louisiana, I can tell you it most certainly is not. And yet he still wins. And so those of us who nominated Deuel believe that Deuel's work, since he left Penn, embodies the ideals of equity and justice to which we should all be striving. He is an example of what I knew the Penn Law community to be, particularly the Penn Law public interest community, and we were all the better for having him as a member of that community. That is the point of my remarks were that was for the group, and this next little part is just my editorializing. That was the Penn that I knew, and the Penn that I knew is certainly not reflected in recent events, which as an alumni it's kind of hard to ignore. But I certainly never remembered Penn being a place that would endorse racist invective wrapped in Western chauvinism that we've seen from a faculty member recently. And today's event is a nice reminder for me that that is not what Penn is about. I never knew that to be what Penn is about, and I certainly believe it isn't now. And I'm really happy that we're honoring Deuel and Kristen and Jessica today. To ensure justice and to model for us all what being a lawyer really should be. I had a pause there, and I hope it wasn't going to be a boo, so I'm glad that wasn't. And now that I've made it awkward, I will, and I shut off the mic, I'll just scream. Now that I've made it awkward, I'll just tell you a little bit about Deuel as a person, because I realize it's very cliche to end one of these things with telling you about him. He's really a great guy, too. But he is, and it's notable because I think we like to kid ourselves in like the public interest community that we are different than other lawyers, but there's a fair share of jerks in the public interest lawyering community. You got messiah complexes, ego trips, like it's all there. But despite everything that Deuel has done and all the accomplishments that he's had, he's still the same great, nice, generous individual that he was in law school. And those of us lucky enough to call him friend are truly fortunate. And I also recognize that he's a very humble individual, and so this entire thing probably falling out of his skin over there in the corner. But with that, I am honored to introduce to you the inaugural winner of the Alumni Impact Award, Deuel Ross.
So thank you all. Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate it. Eric called me one day and we were having drinks as a chance to escape. My wife is watching from our young children and have a little night out. And, towards the end of the night, he said to me, I just want you to know that we nominated you for this public interest impact award thing. I'm like, who's we? He's like, well, 24 of your classmates and one of the, Damon Hewitt, who's the legal director, executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, who's one of my mentors, wrote a really wonderful letter. And so I just want to begin by saying thank you to Eric for thinking of me. Eric himself is doing amazing work at the MacArthur Justice Center. And so thank you all for taking the time. Thank you to Penn for having me here. Just hearing about the really amazing work that my co-awardees are doing is, just thank you all for their amazing work that you are doing. Thank you for recognizing for all of us. And then, as I said, since my wife is watching, thank you. This work is truly hard. My boss, Cheryl Eichel, calls all the work that we do democracy maintenance. And that is making sure that the very basic foundations of our democracy continue to exist, even though we have seen it being attacked in ways that none of us probably imagined it would be in the last 5 years. Attacked, and the primary means of it being attacked is through the law, right? It is through the law in which the Supreme Court is undermining the rights of women, basic healthcare rights. It's through the law that the states are passing laws that prohibit people from even talking about basic truths of American democracy. It's through the law in which people's rights are being taken away, and your right to even talk about that fact is being taken away. And so I'm really heartened today to see so many of you, law students, who are committed to doing this work, but I am, as I started to say, reminded that it's very difficult work. Thank you to my wife, Nicole, who is at home right now taking care of the kids, but is an integral part of this. And then finally, well, not finally, but sorry, thank you to my clients. Eric listed some of the many wins that I've sometimes had, but he also mentioned some of the losses, and in the last couple of years, many of those losses has come at the hands of the United States Supreme Court, stepping in at the last minute and taking away the ability of people to vote in the middle of a pandemic, changing the rules as we go along, and that's not unique to voting rights. It's happening all over. I don't want to keep droning on to you all, but I do truly appreciate that the law school took the time to recognize the amazing work that my co-honorees are doing, and the work that really matters to people. Our clients matter. The work that we all do matters. The resources that this law school is putting into this work really matter and are really important. And I want to see the law school continue to do that good work, which includes making sure that Black students and all students feel comfortable in this space, and that's not always possible when you have certain professors working here. So Eric has said enough of that, so I will not wax on about it. But we all can... We all can and must do better, and we all can and must do our part. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate it and feel very much honored.
As we transition, let's give a standing ovation to all of our Alumni Impact Awards. We're now going to enter the second half, which will be just as exciting as the first. Alicia is going to present our student awards.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia Rodriguez, and I am the Associate Director for Access to Justice Initiatives. I have the distinct pleasure of working with our student pro bono projects, which is a cornerstone of pro bono at the law school. There are over 25 projects across 6 different practice areas, over 100 project leaders, and hundreds of student volunteers. Students also engage in pro bono work through different pro bono opportunities. Regardless of how they complete their work is impactful to the communities they serve. We are recognizing but a few of our outstanding student volunteers and project leaders this evening. So for the students in the room, as I call your name, if you can make your way to the front to collect your certificate and take a photo. And for everyone, if you can hold your applause until I get through all of our volunteers and we can recognize them as a group. First up, we have our Volunteers of the Year, and this award recognizes an outstanding pro bono volunteer for their exemplary service. Nathaniel Edelheit Rice of the Animal Law Project. Nathaniel volunteered with Animal Outlook and delivered a high-quality memo in a short time frame. The supervising attorney noted that Nathaniel's work helped to shape a legal theory that will guide the organization's future work. Zachary Marino, Civil Rights Law Project. Zach consistently volunteered with CRLP research projects throughout the academic year. His research was described as effective and timely. Of note, his assistance in preparing materials for an ACLU attorney for a Third Circuit argument was particularly thoughtful and instructive. Anya Chen, Custody and Support Assistance Clinic. Anya was described as the embodiment of a servant leader. She responded quickly and flexibly to client situations, was thoughtful in her outreach to clients, and generally was a compassionate and attentive volunteer. David Waits, Democracy Law Project. David was an essential part of the team that produced the 50-state survey on state voter ID laws and tribal identification cards for the National Congress of American Indians. Annie Blackman, Democracy Law Project. Annie drafted a memo for the Texas Civil Rights Project addressing potential Voting Rights Act violations. Her supervising attorney noted that Annie and her partner completed an impressive number of interviews with community members to prepare the memo and produce an extremely polished work product. Robert McMullen Financial Literacy Project. The Financial Literacy Project leaders who nominated Robert said he goes above and beyond for his work in the Volunteer Income Tax Assistant Project. Robert is diligent and works hard to help local community members with tax preparation. Shayna Roble, if, when, how. As a 1L, Shayna took on a challenging client for a new benefits access project with Legal Aid of Southeastern Pennsylvania. Shayna assisted in starting the new project and managed clients with complex needs with care, competence, and compassion. Lolo Serrano, if, when, how. Lola was an incredible asset to If, When, How's newly launched government benefits project. Lola was described as integral to developing a benefits manual and contributing to the future of the project. Michaela Wolf Sorokin, Youth Advocacy Project. Michaela was described by her peers as an indispensable part of the YAP team. She asked thoughtful questions, had a great rapport with client partners, worked diligently on assigned tasks, and demonstrated a deep care for the work and client partners. Nathaniel Kegel, Child USA. Nate was described by his supervising attorney as a superior researcher who was able to grasp difficult and new concepts with ease. His research helped Child USA update a document that tracks the success of laws that revive previously expired claims for child sex abuse. Patrick Lim and Trevor Nystrom, HIAS. Patrick and Trevor updated a resource document created for pro bono attorneys working on emergency humanitarian parole applications for Afghans hoping to flee Afghanistan. They are described by their supervising attorney as being flexible, well-organized, self-motivated, and hugely helpful. Margaret Elias, Office of Disciplinary Counsel. Maggie assisted ODC in preparing and filing a petition for allowance of appeal in a confidential matter of substantial public importance. Her thorough research on a niche area of constitutional law, suggested edits to drafts of the petition, and exceptional proofreading skills enabled ODC to file a polished and compelling petition with the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. Henry Fisher, The Second Chance Project. Henry is being recognized for his work helping applicants to secure pardons and a second chance at life. His supervising attorney said his case summaries for the Pennsylvania Board of Pardons were compelling. And we have a group of students: Andrew Bookbinder, Abigail Kasdan, Allison Nason, and Victoria Wang, Plan COVID-19 Campaign. This joint nomination comes from a supervising attorney who stated, "I believe it is uncommon for a supervising attorney to recommend one else for a distinction such as this in the field of law. These volunteers are being recognized for their clear commitment to prisoner-led work, their willingness to try new things, and agility in surmounting hurdles." And I present to you our 2022 Volunteers of the Year. Recognizing Leaders of the Year. This award recognizes students for their leadership and exceptional commitment to clients, volunteers, and their pro bono projects. I will note some of our leaders got numerous nominations from across their projects, and I think that shows how much their peers appreciate their leadership and work. Eleanor Allen, Custody and Support Assistance Clinic. Elle has been described as the absolute rock and fearless leader of CASAC. As executive director of CASAC, Elle spearheaded a project to create templates for volunteers which improve the advocacy and quality of pro bono work. Elle was an advisor to other student advocates while also prioritizing client needs. She even took extra shifts to ensure clients were represented. She has done all of this while fostering a more inclusive and positive environment for KSAC members while operations have gone fully remote. Come up. Jordan Connell, Democracy Law Project. Over the last 2 years, Jordan worked tirelessly to create DLP's community organizing subproject. The project is unique as it partners directly with organizers. Even in the face of significant and varied challenges, Jordan maintained the vision and created a sustainable project that will continue to grow in the coming years. He is deserving of this recognition for his impactful work, much of which has been behind the scenes. Victoria Sanchez, Democracy Law Project. For 2 years, Victoria has provided exceptional leadership to grow DLP's community outreach. Her passion, creativity, and steadfast dedication have allowed DLP to expand their reach and scope of pro bono work. DLP has partnered with organizations across the country on critical projects related to democracy law, election law, voting rights, and social justice. Pamela Osga, Penn Housing Rights Project. Pamela brings her expertise and compassion for housing justice to lead the Housing Rights Project. She served not only as a project leader, but also as a volunteer representing clients before the Fair Housing Commission. Beyond the substantial task of developing and maintaining community partnerships aimed to support low-income tenants, Pamela also organized events to educate the larger student body about housing justice and how law students and lawyers can support this important work. Julia Curley and Julia Cole, the Second Chance Project. Without Julia and Julia at the helm of this work, the project could not have assisted as many clients as they did this past year. They navigated challenges with precision, professionalism, and diligence, and were incredibly responsive to the community partner and student volunteers. Mackenzie Libby and Julia Curley, Walk-In Legal Assistance Project. Mackenzie brings so much joy, spark, love, and care to Wyla each week. She makes every client feel comfortable. Wyla thrived under her leadership for the past 2 years. Julia has also been a steadfast leader of Wyla for the past 2 years. Even throughout the most challenging seasons of law school and the pandemic, Julia has remained warm, funny, and compassionate. Nastia Gorodilova, Youth Advocacy Project. Nastia selflessly committed hours each week, both to the tangible work of the project and to the emotional labor of checking in with the team. Nastia knew when to challenge their fellow volunteers and when to give grace. Nastia was described as having an ethic of care and showing up for client partners in dozens of different ways each week, no matter what academic or personal difficulties they were facing, and encouraged other volunteers to do the same. Jessica Feierman, Youth Education Project. Jess is an outstanding project leader who works tirelessly all year long to ensure over 100 Philadelphia high school students had an opportunity to learn about the law despite shifting pandemic-related restrictions and logistical challenges. Nominators commended Jess for her work ethic, attention to detail, and warmth. Her leadership was remarkable as she acted as an advisor and mentor to fellow volunteers. Her leadership of the project culminated in a successful moot court competition for high schoolers hosted here at the law school. Congratulations to our 2022 Leaders of the Year.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Eaglebaum, I'm the TPIC staff attorney. I'm pleased to announce the Supervisors of the Year. Without you, we simply couldn't do this work. You dedicate your time, energy, spirit, mentorship, guidance. You really control to help students help you, which is hard for lawyers to do. I recognize that. So we thank you for all that you have done for our students. I'd love to announce a few. We have two joining us remotely. The first, we have Dwayne Bensing, Supervisor of the Civil Rights Law Project. Throughout the year, Dwayne has worked tirelessly to share projects with our students, gifting them opportunities to investigate a wide array of legal questions and better understand the multifaceted mission of the ACLU. His persistence, flexibility, patience, and efforts to build ties between Penn Law students and the ACLU of Delaware should be commended. Ryan Sealaw of the Democracy Law Project, Supervising Attorney. Ryan was clear with our student volunteers, eager to answer any questions, and once the project was completed, provided feedback on their work and even asked how to acknowledge the volunteers' work on this when the data is used for future publications. Thank you, Ryan. Sarah Chen, also Supervising Attorney for the Democracy Law Project. Sarah crafted a substantive legal research project allowing 11 Penn Law volunteers to investigate Texas counties to evaluate potential Voting Rights Act violations under the current redistricting map proposals and provided students with an opportunity to work on pressing voting rights issues. Thank you, Sarah. Deborah Steve, Supervising Attorney of If When How. Deborah helped If When How get new government benefits project, pro bono project off the ground, partnering with Health Law and Policy Project. Without Deborah, this project could not have been successful. Students spoke highly of Deborah all year and mentioned her guidance and mentorship throughout their time with her. Mike LaPuma, walk-in legal assistance. Come on up, Mike. Mike is not only an excellent role model, although he is also an active and thoughtful supervisor who takes time to talk through strategies, delegates responsibility to volunteers and student leaders alike, and helps us learn from challenging situations. We are so grateful for his supervision and his dedication to our clients. And lastly, Emily Robb, Youth Advocacy Project. Emily has devoted a tremendous amount of time and effort to developing the YAP program, working with us to expand the program and add a case team so we could bring on more law students and social work students into the program and serve more client partners.